If you have been an outsider in this world, now is your time. Now is your time to love yourself. And I feel so good about this. I'm going to be doing my makeup on camera here today. This is the Maybelline Fit Me in shade 340 Cappuccino. And so I watched this video. I'm going to link it below. But he's talking about the way people are in modern day society. People are forgetting their identities. Their life is being lost. They can't remember time. Their memories are being erased. They can't sit in a room without TV, radio, or cell phone and internet without feeling stressed. And I'm watching this and I'm going, it's been good to be a nerd. It's been good to be a nerd my entire life. Because guess what? Now the world has, what's the password for reap? Reaped? The world has reaped what it has sown, and so have I. In some good ways and some negative ways. But I'm watching this and I'm like, no, I love sitting in quiet, in nature. I can sit there. I used to love sitting there and just watching the little carpenter ants in Mexico. And people don't really have time or patience for people like me. And this is why, even though I don't like them, I like children, because we notice and get excited about the same things. And yeah, I would be out walking with friends from Canada in Mexico, and I'd be like, I just want to stop. I would sometimes stop. I'm like, they can just go ahead, fine, they don't care. I just want to look at the carpenter ants carrying their little leaves. And then you have some carpenter ants that carry the leaves, and then you have others that picked up a little pink flower and they're carrying the flower, or they're carrying the twig. And you're like, why did those ones decide to carry the flower or the twig and not the leaf? Like, why? And then it just looks cute, because then it looks like the ant who picked up the flower wanted it because it's pretty. You know what I mean? Personification of things and creatures. This has been something that, I've done probably my whole life. I just think they're cute and interesting, and I'm curious about their world. And I can be like this about people for a while until they finally reveal their true nature. This is what happened in my marriage. I told my ex-husband, like, I really like getting to know you. Like, I will probably never get tired of it. Like, you're just kind of an interesting person. I always want to get your take on things, or I want to know if you know about something, or what your experience was, or what your opinion is, or what how you, and I it's the kind of person that I am. And I feel like most people just lack curiosity in this day and age. They just accepted what the government told them, which is you study the isosceles triangle and the War of 1912, and you fill your brain with lots of useless and pointless things so that you can collect the little shiny coins to move up the ladder in life. And then one day you can be a decrepit old person pumped up on drugs and sit there and stare out at the beach and watch TV all day. And that's what your life is. And what's cool is I feel like I have lived the Mary Oliver life even before I found her works. I was like, all of this was written for me. Even her poem, Instructions for Living a Life. Pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. That's literally my entire life. That's literally what I've done. That's on my YouTube. That's in the 3 books I've written about my life. That's all over my Instagram. And that's in, 20 years of journals. And that's in me just walking down the street. It makes my life very beautiful. But then you have, the options. If you want to find a partner, the options you got to choose from are men who have numbed their brains out with medications, Marvel comics that teach them you're a superhero because you paid $50 to sit here and watch a millionaire on screen in tight pants jump around. You know, they sit there and they watch the sports, again, teaching them tribalism, laziness, everything else. People can't even read books these days, And personally, I am not going to read any of these, what do they call them? The hustle books we all got out there, the Atomic Habits and all that shit. There's no way in hell you ever catch me reading a book like that. I'm going to go to Gemini and I'm going to ask it to send me the most important points, or I'm going to go on Google and I'm going to find some autistic guy who took notes on it and wrote the most important things, and I'm going to read that. The books that I like reading now are books that fuel the imagination, that talk about the subtleties between characters, that build suspense, that create environments, that explore different worlds. These are old books. I would love to write a modern book like that. I guess that would be like a masterwork of my life. That would be a cool goal that I could have for myself, would be to write a modern classic. But I would have to really, really work and really, really study at that. I have moments here and there, and you can see that throughout my social media where I can describe things very powerfully. But man, to write like Mary Shelley or Bram Stoker or Robert Louis Stevenson, Treasure Island. Oh my God. Someone who came pretty close, I would say, even though like some of the writing is a bit bad because she's writing about modern women and she does it accurately. So they're pretty, I find most modern people annoying, okay, for different reasons. If you're a modern woman and the way you interact with the world is the result of watching The View every day and reading the news media and listening to the radio on the way to work and gossiping at the water cooler and, what else? Watching Amy Schumer movies, all of these like modern things that women have been inundated with from culture. It comes out in the way they present and the way they talk. And they really read this way in this book that I read. It's called The River at Night. I really like the author though. She travels to these like remote locations with her husband and she learns from the locals about about the landscapes, and then she writes about them. I can't remember her name, but anyway, she's quite cool. She has a newsletter. The book is called The River at Night. You can find it. It's a modern wilderness survival tale of like modern women who get lost on an excursion and all the things that happen. And I love that, like thinking about how modern people would react in this kind of situation. And I love wilderness survival stories. They're definitely something about me that I'm quite into. And I've, participated in wilderness survival myself, having been, I got makeup on everything. Having taken forestry in college, we did a winter survival lab. We were out in the foothills for a week. Anyway, I guess I just kind of wanted to say, if you were a weirdo who never fit in, who would stop filming a video because you can hear the beautiful birds singing outside and it just touches you so deeply, despite the fact that you've heard it many, many times in life. And you're not distracted by modern things. You're not deeply influenced by modern culture. And you've maintained your beautiful spirit, your sense of self that hasn't merged with the manufactured collective that capitalism, corporations, and, the elite technocrats are trying to make by creating a model of you that they can build ads around on Facebook. Then I just want to say that you're a part of my crew and I appreciate you. Now is your time to shine. People need people like us right now more than ever. And because they've been living their typical cultural lives for the past 30 odd years, they've been able to bank up money doing that. And now we can come in and take it to help them get themselves back. Yes, because most of them don't even know where to begin. They legitimately need help. You know, personally, do I think that? I mean, no. You can dive into this unmedicated. You can book a week at a cabin in the woods by yourself with no internet and, see what comes up. A lot of them, they just want to spend money on something to make something happen. They don't really want an authentic experience, right? They want to go to a retreat where they can yell in a cold river with other men. Rah! Or they want to go to a women's retreat where they're going to be told, you're a goddess, let's do your sensuality dance, right? And I mean, okay, over time, these little things add up. But where the real crucible is, where the diamonds are really forged in the fire, is through interaction with authentic humans, or even not self-abandoning in the face of inauthentic humans. Now that is not glamorous. That doesn't look good on Instagram. That doesn't feel fun at all. But over the decades, I assure you it adds up. Thanks for watching.